the selection process for chiefs, the chief seat.
All right, Marianne, you want me to talk
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, sure.
All right, so for those who don't know me, my name is Barry Goldner, and I'm one of the deputies for the police department. I probably met some of you on a previous meeting several months back, but I am the administrative deputy, charge of all the investigative side of the house, records, anything that isn't pretty much uniform patrol other than the gang unit. So the selection process for the chief and the interim chief is really out of our hands. It's not a civil service position. It's an appointed position by the city manager. City manager in the city of Lowell is the appointing authority. Some cities and towns, it could be the mayor, the town council, but in the city of Lowell, the city manager is realistically the highest ranking. She's the appointing authority for all the police and fire. So the city manager will basically make the interim appointment, and then whether the process is going to be done before or after, I'm guessing a new city manager that may be coming in, it would probably be left for them. So we really don't have a lot of information because it comes out of the city manager's office, but she would be the appointing authority to make the position for an interim. That's what I'm guessing for next week. Mm-hmm. And then however the process will be, and whether or not she'll make the appointment of superintendent or she'll wait for the next manager, if she's not going to be here to make that appointment. Selection process or appointment, it'll be up to them.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
Oh yeah, so one question, does the appointed chief by the city manager have to be a police officer? Are there any requirements that other than a good manager, so to speak, that the person appointed to be chief have to fill?
So I don't know what the exact specifications, but normally it would come from the ranks or within the organization. There's several reasons, and there's good and bad. It's it promotes upward mobility within the organization, and as long as there's qualified people within the organization, I mean, Lowell has right around 50 superior officers ranking from sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and 2 deputy superintendents. So that's the normal progression. And since they are, the superintendent of police in the city, they really need to have or should have a law enforcement background and knowledge, because everything and all the decisions, or most of the decisions they make, other than, let's say, budgets and personnel matters, are based on what happens in law enforcement and scrutinizing, investigations, patrol actions, and they really need to have a well-rounded background in law enforcement. So it's really important in this city.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. So is there a timeline where the seat should be occupied? Should that go unoccupied for, what's the expectancy for the timeline?
Yeah, so I would assume that there'll be an immediate interim appointment, and then that the whole time frame would be, again, this is an unusual circumstance because, we're looking at the potential for a new city manager to come in, and I don't know how long. I don't know if anyone knows how long that process will take place. You can only go by what you hear at council meetings and what you read in the paper right now, that hopefully it's a streamline, or hopefully it doesn't take too long, but it depends on what their search process is, how long that will take, and then how long a new city manager would take to figure out the process that they want to utilize to make the selection for the next superintendent. So there's a lot of up in the air, and I know that the manager will make an appointment for the interim because she's not going to leave the organization in flux, and that normally happens. And it's kind of interesting because we've had interim superintendents for months and months. We've had interim, I want to say, when we've had interim deputies for 18 months. The last time when under city manager Murphy. So I don't think that it would be a long drawn out process like that this time, but I think there'll be an immediate interim appointment, and then wait for the new city manager to figure out what type of process that they would want to use for the selection.
So there is a next in command, so to speak, or is there like you know how they have the next in command? Does that operate that way in the local police department? So that person could fill the space until a decision is made?
Yeah, it typically would come from the next rank in the command structure, Deputy LeBlanc or myself, what I'm sure would be interested in that interim appointment. And we've been doing the job a long time. I've been doing this for 36 years now. And obviously we progressed up through the ranks of the department, and have worked in conjunction with the superintendent. I've spent the last 3.5 years working with Superintendent Richardson as a deputy. I've actually worked both sides of the house, the operational and administrative side of the house. So, we're both, I think, ready to step up if we're asked. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions or concerns, comments with regards to the selection process? Okay, so the next item is the neighborhood meetings update, and I am facilitating that topic, and I will actually invite Lucia to mention a few things as well, as she has participated. But I just want to inform everyone that I have attended a number of neighborhood meetings. I was able to introduce the committee to the neighborhood meetings, the folks that attend the neighborhood meetings. And I just kind of elaborated a little bit on the fact that we have been around for roughly about a year. And, at the beginning, it was more of the formation of the committee itself. And I was able to mention some of our success stories. And it included, the community ties, and of course the body cameras. And, there is some of the neighbors that are really excited about it, and they want us to continue to attend the meetings because they feel encouraged that there is someone that could actually kind of go back and forth and have conversations with them and bring it back to these meetings without having to bring it to the formalities of actually calling 911 or calling the local police department, and just having, real talk with folks that are in the same, that meet them eye to eye. So I can definitely say that there's a lot of community members that have attended the meetings that are definitely encouraged, and they will be providing feedback as we continue to attend these meetings. Lucia actually attended a few of them. Lucia, is there anything that you would like to share as far as your experiences attending these meetings?
Yeah, I was actually very happily surprised because, the captains, they go to tell the people in the community in each neighborhood meeting, what's going on in the city in terms of crime. And then, they ask the people in the neighborhood meetings, if you have any concerns. And first of all, I didn't even know that there were any neighborhood meetings. I was like, what? Lowell has neighborhood meetings? I had no idea about that. And then even more than that, the captains themselves come to talk to the people who attend the meetings. So I think that's a really great way to reach out the community for the police department, and to really interact with them, especially at a neighborhood meeting. So that was very informative, and I really appreciate that.
There's a lot of people that didn't even know that the committee existed. And so that's why I think they're a little surprised that they exist, and they're excited about it because they actually, again, have some, group of people that they could come and have some real-time conversations with, or go to the presidents that lead their neighborhood meetings and share some concerns with them that can be related to us, and then we could present it to you guys with hopes that we could have some dialogue and maybe bring them some, I don't know, just some liberty or just to kind of free them up from some of their concerns, other than, the crime reports that they actually do appreciate. And we were excited because we actually attended two so far in Pawtuckaville. And the first one we attended, I think it had maybe like over a dozen, probably close to 20 crimes within the month. And when we just went, there was only 3. So we were like actually really excited. We were like, wow, the map is empty. So, it's encouraging. And again, it's about the neighbors as well. And we want to make sure that we have the capability of building, strong, healthy relationships with them so that we can kind of go back and forth and be the middlemans, if you would say, and bringing back, some of the stuff that they're not comfortable in calling 911 for, or even picking up the phone to call the local officials. And again, it just brings them to a comfortable place right now. So we're enjoying the meetings, and I'm sure that there's other members that are going to participate. Pastor Cecilio joined us last week, and I know that Federica and Nate have intentions of joining. So we'll be able to provide some more feedback from other members of the committee as we attend the neighborhood meetings.
That's nice to hear. It's really important to the police department and to the chief, so that we attend those meetings, and we're now able to have, you said that the captains are back at the meetings, and the captains all have an officer that is assigned to them to handle specific neighborhood issues. So when the captain comes back from those neighborhood meetings, and the next day he meets with their officer in that sector, and he or she gives them the information that they get from these meetings about neighborhood concerns, whether parking issues, it could be anything. And that's what those officers go out and address and take care of those issues. And then hopefully we get the positive feedback at the next neighborhood meeting that those issues have been taken care of. So that's really important to us to address those little things. It could be, like you said, things that people don't call the police for normally that'll come out at the meeting that someone may say, hey, this has been going on, or my neighbor, I've noticed something. And it's very helpful. And we do handle a lot of issues that come out of the meeting. So it is important. I'm glad that you guys were able to see that.
Yeah, because there's still concerns. There's still neighbors that have concerns, and those are their burdens, and they should be able to come to folks and share their burdens and hope for some relief, And so if they don't feel that they need to call, or they should call the cops, whether it's the local number or 911, they should still have some folks that they could reach out to for some relief. And so that's all we're trying to do, is just kind of gain information and bring it back and forth with hopes that there's some resolution so that we could have happy neighborhoods, right?
That's good. That's what we're looking for, right?
Yep. That's one of the goals of this committee too, is, really acting as a conduit between the community and the police, and to get information to us and to get information out to the community as well. So that, I think this is great.
I have to say, Lucia is doing an awesome job in promoting all of the community policing too. She shares everyone that we've attended. She continues to share all the different programs that are currently being offered by the Lowell Police Department. And I have to admit that we have to work on a little. I'm not saying that you aren't marketing or sharing or exposing it, but I think that we have to come up with some way of being able to give it additional exposure, because there's a lot of folks that still did not know that they were not aware of some of these programs.
Mm-hmm.
And they were excited. So we were able to provide some links for them to be able to find it. But I think that there has to be a little bit more effort some way, somehow, and where these neighbors are really finding out about all of the programs that are available. And I know that there might not be enough capacity to help everyone, but everyone still should know about them.
So Marianne and I met today with someone, and your exact concern will, if we can pull this off will be addressed 100%, and it'll be at your fingertip information about everything that you need to know about the police department, the youth programs, what we're doing. And, every single week we're starting new programs. We're going to be starting an Ultimate Frisbee League with program with the public schools. We're running a basketball camp with the, I think, middle schools, which is going to be during April vacation. We're running a 3-day mini camp and then a little tournament at the end. Hopefully bringing in some Lowell High students from the basketball team, and maybe even you, Lowell, to help coach run the program. But we just finished a wrestling program. The boxing program is ongoing. But we're going to hopefully be able to bring to everyone's fingertips through information technology. But we have to put the information together and propose it to the city and address exactly what you just said. And that is exactly our concern. So, again, you saw something that we already, knew there was a problem with us being able to get that information to the right people. And we're looking to do that. And hopefully we're going to get that done soon.
Yeah.
I think they'll appreciate it.
Yeah, and to make it easier for people to access information, police department information, much easier than it's currently set up.
In addition to all the programs being offered, because there's a lot of folks that want to take advantage of all those programs.
Oh yeah, yep.
I think it'll be really nice if we can get it done.
Yep.
Yeah, just a thought. So we've already signed up for the next meeting in Centerville, the Centerville neighborhood meeting. And I'm just thinking that like maybe one of us, or like I could just like put together like maybe like a flyer. Cause you know how like the police officers, the captains, they like hand out like papers with like the crime reports. Like if I could just like have some like all the list of like the programs or most of the programs that like the Lowell Police Department is having. So I can like put it on a flyer and like print out like, I don't know, like 20, 30 of them so that when we introduce ourselves like at the Centerville neighborhood meeting that like we can just pass them out just like lots of other people do.
Mm-hmm.
I think Malika covers that, right? Malika, you bring to the table, you inform them of like different or current events and you provide flyers or something like that?
Yes, if the police department is part of any of the events, we let the community know.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
So that's a very good point, Lucia, and maybe that's something that we can do when the captain hands out the papers that Marianne, myself, Sergeant Marshall, who runs the youth programs, we can put together a list of what we're currently doing and anything that may be ongoing or that that the kids may need to sign up for, and provide that information at the neighborhood meetings as well. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. We can definitely work on that in my unit. Because even, I'm thinking about now, we haven't put out a formal flyer yet, but we will be doing an autism awareness and acceptance event on Tuesday, April 5th. So we're going to be having it at the senior center. So we'll be putting together a flyer, and we'll be, that's a good idea to get it to the sector captains to be able to disseminate that at the neighborhood meetings, in addition to, utilizing social media, utilizing the committee to get the word out as well.
That's the one we did last year, right?
So so we haven't had a in-person event since pre-COVID. So typically in years past, what we do is we have it in conjunction with Lighted Up Blue Day for Autism and Awareness, which is actually Saturday, April 2nd. Saturday, April 2nd. And we'll still be doing that for where we cut a special order and cruisers, if they can, at a certain time, pull to the side of the road and put their lights on, and for Autism Awareness. And then we also have in the past had an event where we invite families. It's almost like it's resource. We have resources. We have officers there. We'll have food, pizza probably, and we'll be doing that though on Tuesday, April 5th, instead of on the same day on that Saturday.
Are you allowed to? Sorry,
That's okay.
are you allowed to use the Lowell Sun to promote, significant events that you're going to hold? Just because I do get notifications by email, and obviously I'm on Facebook, so I see a lot of the updates, but I'm just wondering, not everybody is paying attention to their emails, and we would hope that everybody is monitoring their Facebook if they have one, but not a lot of folks watch LTC or Lowell Center. I'm just trying to understand how people are missing it, that these events are actually taking place, or that these, programs are available. I'm sure you've been doing it for so long. I'm just trying to figure out how they're missing it.
So some of the events are really focused on different like age groups and stuff. So for Autism Awareness, I've reached out to all of the nonprofit organizations like mental health services. We reached out to the social workers at the school, and any social service group like DCF and stuff like that work with youth, that work with parents that may already have a child who's on the spectrum, or still kind of being diagnosed on the spectrum. And then there's other families that we've worked with in the past. So we utilize that network to help us spread the word, at least for this event, for this type of event. So this is one is more geared towards really supporting families. So a couple of years ago, when we were able to do it in person, it was a great event to see just having kids who have autism be able to just be themselves. They were running around the senior center and stuff and playing with officers and everything like that. And to let the parents know that it's okay. Like this event is for them. So more so like that. So for this type of event, we do focus on social media, and we do focus on like our networks, and to help us in spreading the word to those particular clients that may be experiencing stuff like this, so that way they can also feel comfortable to come and see us and see what other resources that they may not know about that are in the city, but also really be seen that they're not alone as well. So I don't know if we've ever really wanted, because then it would become a bigger event, and sometimes kids with autism, like they don't like really big crowds.
Yeah.
So we want to be also mindful of that as well too. But that is a great idea. Speaking of the youth, there's a resource fair that's coming. The Lowell Public Schools is doing a resource fair in April. So we are looking to get a flyer of all the activities that are going to be happening in the summer that that youth can and families can apply for, especially like the Student Police Academy and stuff like that. So some of the specific programming are like age specific and for like a certain population in the community. So that's why some of the other events or activities you won't hear about unless it's like particular a group of kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
Definitely. It definitely, but I think it's, good to have these conversations so that everyone's aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So does anyone have anything to add? Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding neighborhood meetings or activities and events? Okay, next item on the agenda will be the Lowell Police Department updates that will be covered by Marianne.
I'm going to defer to Deputy Goldner. Sorry.
There you go, Deputy.
So is that the updates on the body worn camera implementation?
Yep, the body worn camera and the cadet.
So I think Marianne had put together some information on the body worn camera information where we put proposals from 4 agencies. The proposals range anywhere from 337 to 161 pages, and those are being looked at right now. Once those are all gone over and scored, and then one of the companies will be selected once that is done, then the City of Lowell Law Department has to get together with both unions, the superior officers and the patrolmen's union, and they will come up with language for a policy that the city will use and implement to oversee the body-worn camera program. You know, I know the administration of the department is excited to see this finally coming to fruition, and we look forward to the body cameras in the organization. So it's going to be a big help to us and to all the officers and protect the city. Back in I'm going to go back. Some of you probably weren't born. 87. I worked for an organization, and they didn't have body cameras, but they had in-dash cameras in the police cruisers, and it was, even back then, it was a tremendous help, and it helped the city, it helped the officers. It was that, you know, because you're able to accurately depict and document, and you're bringing real life footage of what occurs, where some people may not be able to really perceive what occurred. Sometimes when an officer says this is what was going on, and everyone's perception is different, but when you're able to see it and hear what's going on, and I'm sure everyone's watched some of the police shows and some footage before, but being involved in it and having a camera with me 24, you know, not 24/7, but every time I worked out in the street, it was a tremendous help to me. And again, I had it back in the late 80s when they were video, like 8-track tapes that went in the trunk of your car. And then, you know, the technology was a little bit more antiquated back then, but it helped us tremendously in everything we did. So I particularly look forward to seeing it.
So the goal was for to be launched in April. Do you have an anticipated time frame at this point? Being that use me one time.
So I'm going to say no to April, just because that the actual negotiation with the unions on the language to implement. I think that our portion, the police department's portion of the selection process, will be done by then. Mm-hmm. I think that the more time consuming will be the two unions getting together with the city. And this is just me not knowing everything about it. I would think that the beginning of the summer would be a more realistic goal to get the program underway for the pilot program and get it going. And which would be very nice if we could get the program up and running by July. And then, you know, if the program is successful, then the pilot program may not last as long. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, and then to move into full implementation, but depending on the funding sources. So hopefully, it's a big expense for the city. It's, over $1 million to implement full, but I think that it's one of the most important technology advances in law enforcement. And the Northeast is slowly picking up with the body-worn camera program. So we'll be kind of on the forefront. Some organizations have it, not a lot. I think the state police have gone to them, and some smaller agencies, but we definitely look forward to getting it into practice.
Is it not possible for the unions to engage the law department at this point, or and not have to wait until a particular company is selected? I mean, you would save time doing that.
Yeah, I could tell you, Cecilia, that that the chief of police, Chief Richardson, has kind of been trying to give a little push, a little urge for this to happen and for that to get done. And I know that over a week ago, he did email all the parties and say, this is what we need to get done so that we can get this going. So I don't know if he's heard back from either the law department or the unions yet, but I know that the chief is trying to push this thing along to get it moving. So, and if we don't hear back soon, I think that is something that either Mary Ann or myself, or Deputy LeBlanc will get together and see what we can do to schedule a meeting with all the parties to get it moving. So
We have a deadline as well, like the per the grant, the state grant funding, the policy has to be in place and received by the state by June. So it has to be in place by then. But yeah, we're like the deputy said, the chief is trying to nudge it along between the parties that need to sit down and do that parallel to the selection process. And then once an agency, organization is selected, then going through and getting a contract to the law department. We're trying to run these both activities parallel so that we can, once both can be set at the same time. Once the contract is in place, we have a policy in place, and then we can move forward.
anyone have any other questions on the body camera?
No.
Did you want to move on, Michelle, to the cadet
The
program?
cadet, yeah, could you give us a little update on that pilot program for the cadet?
Sure. So what Marianne had gone ahead and taken care of is that we increased the pay for the cadets with the increase in the minimum wage. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to pay the cadets a fair amount of money, because they're going to be full-time employees of the city. So I think we're going to be able to hire 3, right, Marianne?
3, now that we've done we got the budget adjustment approved by the Bureau of Justice Assistance to change it from 4 to 3. But that we had to change the number because we increased the hourly rate, hourly rate for the cadets.
So once the issue goes before the council and it gets approved, then we can start putting together the outline and the policies and procedures in place to implement the program. And the goal is to have the program up and running and hire the individuals, be able to work in different aspects of the police department with the goal of aspiring to become a police officer. And so the way Boston's program works is they have a certain percentage of their cadets that they're able to hire outside of civil service and become a police officer, even though they never took the exam and were never on the civil service list. So that they've shown they've met certain requirements, whether it's physical, they still have to pass the physical, psychological, and the other aspects of becoming a police. But there's a lot of the cadets in the city of Boston that never become police officers, but what they do is they obtain jobs within the police. They could become dispatchers. They may be detention attendants. They may go to other departments in the city. So it gives them the opportunity to maybe see if that's truly the profession that they would like to do, or maybe there's another profession that sparks their interest once they get in within the organization and start working in different departments. And the bottom line is they're building city time towards a retirement within the city, and they're earning a decent wage and while they're doing so with benefits. So we look forward again to the cadet program and then being able to handpick cadets that may be able to become police officers. We've lost some candidates from within the city that would have been excellent police officers, and then the test or the list expired that they were on. They didn't take the other test, and we've lost them to non-civil service agencies and great candidates from inside the city. And those are the type of people that we'd love to attract and be able to hire those people. There are people that just don't score well on a civil service exam, but they may be the best police officers that we had. But this will give people an opportunity that may not have had to become a police officer or work for the city in another capacity. So we're going to move as quickly as possible to get the program up and running, and then make a selection of the first 3 cadets in the Lowell Police Department. It'll be nice.
And those descriptions are already created, their job descriptions.
Yeah, and one of them it needs to be finalized, and then that's the document that has to go to the city council in order to create the position, create the ordinance position, and get approved by city council. Once that's approved, then we could move forward and we could post the job and finalize the internal policies.
So there will be like a literal hiring process or selection for them.
Oh, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, they'll have to be, it'll be a complete police background check as well, obviously, because they are going to be privy and have the opportunity to view sensitive documents depending on the job that they're in within the organization. So whoever will have to still pass a background check. Any employee of the city, it doesn't matter what department, you could work in the sign, paint shop, whatever. There's drug testing, there's medical, physical. So there'll be the same city process that works for the hiring.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So does anyone have any questions or concerns or any comments? Okay, so the next item is on the Shannon Community Safety Initiative, the grants. And once again, that's Lowell Police Department. I don't know if it's variant or deputy, but one of you have to touch on that topic for us.
Yeah. Do you want me to take this one, Deputy?
Sure.
So some questions came up regarding the Shannon Community Safety Initiative in our, prep meeting for this, the current committee meeting. So I just want to do, explain to the committee and to everyone who's listening the what the grant is, what it pays for, and the goals of the grant. So this is our the grant funding comes from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. We are currently in our 16th year of receiving the Shannon grant. This year we received $739,150.75. And the funding is used to implement it's the comprehensive anti-gang and youth violence prevention strategy. So we use some funds for proactive neighborhood patrols and hotspots. We subcontract a lot of the funding to youth service organizations and to other city departments for youth programs. We partner with the public schools, the recreation department, Mass Hire, UTEC, Boys and Girls Club, Lowell Community Health Center, their Team Block program, Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association, and the YWCA. And we also fund portions of 2 of our crime analysts and a program manager in my unit to manage the grant, who does all the reporting and works with the partners on contracts and all that stuff. So if you look at the funding breakdown itself, 67% of the funding goes directly for youth services and youth activities. So that's about $494,000. And then we have a small portion, $1,500 for office supplies. 19% goes to proactive neighborhood patrols. That's about $138,000. We do have a small amount of overtime for the LPD youth services programs. That's about 2% of the funding, about $17,500. And then for LPD salaries, which I mentioned, the analysts and program manager in my unit, it's about $86,983. It's about 12%. So the majority of the funding, like I said, does go directly to youth services and youth activities. I don't know if people are interested in the breakdown of the nonprofits and the youth services activities, because I have that breakdown as well. What are your thoughts?
When you
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead, Lucia.
If you feel like doing the breakdown, Marianne, then I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. So the Boys and Girls Club, I didn't do the percentages on this one, but the Boys and Girls Club, we give $86,000 for activities. A lot of it is the youth basketball program that they do at nighttime, I think over the summer months. We Lowell Community Health Center gets about 11,667. The YWCA gets 16,551. UTEC has a high set program, which is the GED, and a drop-in program for they get 35,000. Mass Hire, which is all about youth jobs, and all of these programs are for at-risk youth in the city. Mass Hire is 151,275, and especially last year and this year, and in general, youth jobs are very scarce. So that funding we have been increasing that funding. Plus, with the minimum wage increasing over the years too, the need to increase that funding has been there due to the increase in minimum wage. So Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association, they do a youth summer camp. And we're able to fund 19,270 for them. Lowell Public Schools, we do a before and after school tutoring program, and that's 18,690. The recreation department is about 50,000. The youth services program that we do with Ironstone Farm is about 30,000. The youth services program, the boxing and the wrestling and the frisbee, and our youth outreach event is about 38,000. And then our LPD student police academy is about 36,640.
So
For the
those
year.
are all the organizations that um, the Shannon grant has been able to contribute to through the Lowell Police Department.
Yes.
And when you say at risk, how is that determination made?
Shannon has a specific definition, which I don't have in front of me right now, but it's based on like where you live. It's based on your grades. They actually have a risk assessment that a lot of our programs are drop-in, and not case management, because we do a lot of prevention and intervention youth services programs, and it's about getting in youth, keeping them busy with different fun activities, right? So they're not, hanging around or don't have anything to do. But the risk assessment kind of looks at, your interest in school, it talks about drugs, but there's various risk levels. I wish I had it in front of me. I'm going to try to look it up real quick as we talk. Does anybody else have?
So who determines that? So you have a list, and is that list provided to all of these, I would assume, like the local public schools and these organizations where they have to follow the risk assessment test in order to qualify for the funds? Is that how it's basically taking place?
So the risk assessments are really for those doing case management work, and a lot of our programs are drop-in based, like our recreation programs, even the Boys and Girls Club, they have drop-in programs. Even a lot of our youth services programs are drop-in, or it's not, or they're short in time. Like our summer student police academy is 3 weeks. So it doesn't give you the opportunity to be like, these risk assessments can take up to an hour to do with the youth. And if you have 120 kids in a 3-week period to get through them, you're not going to be able to do the activities with them. You're going to be focusing on the risk assessment, which would be really not what the priorities are. But all of our organizations know what the definition of at risk per the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. and follow that.
And so when you say at risk, is there a specific definition to what an at risk child is? Like,
Yes, but I'm trying to I want to get it correct, so I'm trying to find the exact
just because what could be an at risk child for me, as far as the capacity I have, it may not be the same capacity someone else has. But I was a licensed daycare provider for 9 years. And so at risk and working with early intervention and a number of other things could look different for me. So I'm asking you, because if these are all students that attend, I assume, low public schools and are participating in all of these programs, I'm just curious to know what at risk is considered, and what they're actually doing for these children that they're identifying as at risk.
So the definition of Shannon eligible youth must be between the ages of 10 and 24, living in a high risk or hotspot area within the community, and at risk or high risk of becoming involved or currently involved in gang activity. And then low risk, and it gives definitions. Low risk is youth that are in danger of engaging in risky behaviors or gang activity due to the presence of known risk factors for gang involvement, such as exposure to gang affiliates in their environment, home, or community. Moderate risk youth are exposed to the same risk factors as low risk youth, as well as additional risk individual factors such as school failure, truancy, dropping out of school, substance abuse, court involvement, witnessing violence or violent victimization, and gang involvement as an affiliate or member not yet participating in violent criminal activity. High-risk youth are identified as those youth being perpetrators or victims of shooting or stabbing violence and are known as gang members. So that's the complete list of definitions on how EOPS defines. So we're really in our prevention and intervention activities, we're targeting the at-risk, not typically the high-risk youth. There's actually another funding source that really targets the high-risk youth, and it's the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative. A majority of that funding goes directly to UTEC.
Understood. So it's more at risk of being in danger or being a danger to others. It's not like at risk as far as like mental health or suicidal or anything like that.
It's really about
suicidal is a danger to yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I think that they're concerned more being more physically a harm to others or others to you.
Yeah, it's all about youth and gang violence prevention, intervention, and suppression.
So that's exactly what I was.
Yeah.
So it's more about prevention and all that good stuff.
Yeah. A lot of our activities are about prevention and intervention and suppression.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments? The CDC is the similar metric using the child care study. It disappeared.
Yeah, Nader just made a comment that the CDC uses a similar metric that they're using for the child care stabilization grants. It's known as the Social Vulnerability Index, and he posted a link in the chat.
Yeah, because getting to just having that reach when they're in daycare before they even and it's not to say that there's that there isn't toddlers that are at risk of engaging or being exposed to any type of violence, but getting them when they're that young before they even go to school or exposed to any other program at that, I think it's something worth considering, and maybe reaching out to a lot of the daycare agencies and providers too, and seeing if there's any way that they could benefit from that. I don't know if it's too, if it's because they're too young, but I think that a lot of the folks that I'm talking to is, it's not that not enough is being done for the youth, but I think that more needs to be done some way, somehow, and getting a hold of them when they're a lot younger nowadays.
Yes, yeah, I
So-
agree. And we've had those discussions actually with the state as well, because right now the age bracket for Shannon is 10 to 24, and the age bracket for SSYI is actually a 16 or 17 to 24. And we definitely have examples, where, we need more resources for individuals younger than 10. Sorry,
So-
Deputy, you were going to mention.
Yeah, no, so that's why our youth services program, we started targeting younger students within the schools. They're still in the school system. We partnered with the public schools, and we actually started a program we've been doing with the elementary schools. So that's basically K through 4, called Wake Up with a Cop, where we have Sergeant Marshall and Officer Paul Robbins with our new Labrador Retriever. They go to the students that have to go to school before school starts, and they talk about nutrition. They're playing fun games with them, just getting the kids up and active and interacting with the police and the police dog and having fun. At the same time, they don't even realize that they're doing activities and becoming active, and talking to them about little things like healthy eating. And so we started that program recently, and we're targeting, I know that we were just at the charter school is looking for some for us to do something at the charter school on Jackson Street as well. But we're going to be able to cater programs to that younger age group that Shannon and SSYI doesn't allow us to. So that we're hoping that we're going to, and we know we're going to need to build our youth services program and staff, because it can be as big as we want it to be. And we really see that interacting with the youth and the kids in the city at an early age, and building the relationships, and getting them out there with activities, and especially after this COVID pandemic over the past almost 2 years, and all the kids have been sedentary and sitting in the house. We're running after school programs. We're really targeting the younger kids and getting them out there active in the good weather. And we're going to be running hopefully a summer learn to swim program along with DCR for the inner city kids, which we think is so important. So we have a lot in the works, and you guys are right on with all your concerns and what you think we need to do. We're kind of paralleling your ideas, and yes. So thank you.
Does anyone have anything to add, or any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, so the last item is community planning, and I'm going to leave that to Nader, because he's actually the one that brought up the idea of community planning. And I believe he has some questions or ideas that he'd like to share with us.
Yeah, so I was just curious to see what all of you thought we should be focusing on for the upcoming months, especially as the summer comes around. There's a lot of events that happen, and a lot of youth are out of school. So I was wondering if we could, as a committee, try to decide on 2 to 3 main points that we want to focus on. I know most likely body cameras will be, a major component of that, but anything else that we should focus on, either in the community ties proposal or just ideas that all of you had. So this is an open space to discuss that.
I have one suggestion. So aside from the law enforcement side, maybe the advisory group could partner with us in one of our upcoming events with the youth. and do something where you could come and act as counselors or staff or assist with one of the events that we're going to run, and get a little bit of publicity for the citizen advisory group as well, working with us and working with the youth in the city on an event. Maybe we can pick an area of the city or in one of the events that we're going to be holding to have you guys all come out and either just be counselors, assist in some way, maybe serve water, refreshments, whatever it may be. I think it would be a nice idea. Aside from like the body cameras and other issues that we can handle at these type of meetings. It's up to you guys if you thought that was something important or maybe good to do.
Maybe we can spread out, and if you have, let's say you have 5 events throughout the summer, depending on everyone's agenda, maybe 2 at a time, different events, and everyone will have an opportunity to partner up in an event and have the experience and expose a little bit of the committee from their perspective, and that way everyone's included.
I think that's a great idea.
So I think that since we already brought up the April 2nd Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd, I mean, I don't know at this moment, but would it be okay if maybe some of us from the committee could just go and serve drinks, kind of what you were saying, just try to help out there? Would that be
Absolutely.
an event that would be for
Yes, Lucia, if your schedule permits you guys to be there, you guys are more than welcome to. And just mix and mingle with the community and the parents, and also maybe get to know some of the resources that are in the community as well. That are going to be that you may not know of. But there are opportunities to help there as well. You can play with the kids. We're going to have cornhole, so you can play with the kids on cornhole if you want. Help serve pizza.
Yeah. So it's April 2nd, right?
April 5th.
Yeah. We'll send a final flyer to the committee.
Okay, perfect.
They'll have all the details on it. Yep.
I would also add that that as a committee, we need to make sure that the powers to be hear from the community in terms of the next chief in our city. I think it's important that I imagine the next city manager does hear from the community and take that into consideration.
Pastor, are you saying that once it's the city manager selected, did we if we take part in the selection, or once the city manager is selected, we feel
what I'm saying, I realize that we're not the ones selecting the next chief, but I think it's important for us to let the next city manager know that they should hear from the community as well.
I think that'll be a part of it.
They did that. City manager Donahue had done that when she was in office for a chief position before he took office. She held up a number of community meetings and heard from the community and stuff. So we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks.
Right. It's one thing to hold meetings with the community, and whether the community is actually heard is a different story.
Is the committee interested in maybe putting a proposal or something, working a proposal, these are some of the things that we want to see in a chief, or?
Just a quick thought on that. Just reiterating what the pastor said, I think we have an important role to play in, who's the next city manager. The fact that we're community members trying to, oversee and help improve the police department just shows that we care, especially from the law enforcement side. I know UMass Lowell is going through a similar kind of dilemma in the sense that we're also looking for who's going to lead our university. And part of that is having not just, obviously the powers that be decide who, but there's community forums that they're holding, and also some of the, like, I know, for example, some of the students that sit on the board and some of the faculty, they have a set of I guess not demands, but what they would like to see. So the search committee is asking them, what would the ideal chancellor look like at your school? And I think that's something that we could do. Like, what would the ideal city manager look like for Lowell? And asking the community members, like, someone that has experience and is focused on community outreach, someone that knows the city, someone with experience, not only municipal, but it could be at any level of government. But I think that what the pastor said is important. Like, you can hold all these meetings, but after, when you're in the position of power, you can just forget about it all and lock yourself in the office, basically. So I think, if there's any way that we as a committee could put something forward, just even if it's just like a recommendation to the city council, kind of similar how we wrote that letter to the unions, I think that would be really powerful.
I agree. It was one of my comments was in agreement with the selection process, because it allows for us as the members of the community to hold folks in leadership accountable for a lot of what goes on in the city that we reside in. So I think that we could probably consider preparing something for what it's worth.
So similar to the letters that you wrote to the manager and the unions and whatnot, this would be completely separate from us. Like, we would not be participating in. Obviously, I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Any other ideas? Any other suggestions?
I just want to say I like everything that was mentioned. I just, for the summer, like, youth activities that are gonna be happening, like, if we could just get like a schedule of like all the stuff happening, like that we can like divide, and people, and we know what time, not like the day before, like 2 days before when the events are happening. Like, that would be great.
As soon as we have all the information, we will get it to Michelle to get it out. Marianne can let everyone know. We're still in talks with DCR because we have to use the city pool to run the program. And we actually are hiring as a police officer, a new female officer that's coming on. She's actually the only water safety instructor around and instructs all lifeguards. So she'll be a very important part of running the Learn to Swim program, because they can't run it without her. And she's going to be a police officer. So it's really, we're looking forward to that.
So I think as soon as we have information on dates, details, times, and locations and all of that, we can certainly send it out. And then so it may come in like the information may come in waves.
But they'll come with enough notice, so that as a committee, and we're kind of spread out and have our own agendas as individuals, we could kind of select amongst ourselves. Yeah. Okay, you attend this one, and that one will attend this one, and that way Malika will know, these two are going to participate in a specific event, and we'll just kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If you could tell us, who's going to be attending.
Okay. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much sums up everything that's on the agenda, unless anyone has any other questions, concerns, or comments. That covers the agenda, and we are just slightly over the timeline, but I'm all set. I don't know about if anyone else has anything else that they'd like to, state.
No, nothing from our end. I thank you all.
Okay.
Good to see you again, Michelle. And
awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, Lucia, and Nader, and everyone else. So.
Okay. So this meeting is adjourned until next time.
We'll see you
Thank
next.
you.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Record.